Okay, guys, I'm done. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm super excited to share this part of my testimony. As you guys all know, if you've been with me from the beginning, anyone that knows me knows that I do not like to be on stage. That God called me to speak, but I had trouble accepting that calling. I had trouble accepting the gift that He gave me and utilizing it. So I was fine with accepting it as long as it was in my comfort zone, which is, talking to smaller groups, 25 or less people, versus being on stage, being on YouTube, being on Instagram, having a wider audience. But the very thing that I had to be real with myself on is, why? Alicia, if you know you are gifted, if you know that you are equipped with the gifts to speak and to have a platform in which you can impact the world using your voice, then why? Why not do it? Why not say, yes, Lord, and just walk in that purpose? I'll tell you why. For the majority of my life, I played AU basketball. So from ages 5 up into high school until I decided that I didn't want to play anymore, I was great at basketball. I was a point guard. I was typically the MVP and the high scorer. I played 1 or 2, typically the 1, just because of my basketball IQ. So I was very much so in shape. I was typically, 135, 145 muscle, at, 5'4" and a half. I'm 5'3" now, so I've shrunken a bit. But I was always very athletic, and I always had an athletic built body. And so there was a point in my life, which was right around the time I was finishing up college. I was already working as a division manager for a major retail company, and I was making pretty good money. I bought my dream car for my 20s before I even graduated college. Coming from where I'm from, which is St. Louis, a good amount of money, okay? Throughout that period of my life, I had just transferred from Missoula. I was going to attend in Missoula, and I came back home to St. Louis. So I transferred to University of Missouri, St. Louis, from University of Missouri, Columbia, which is also known as Mizzou, back to St. Louis because I had a grandparent who was sick and pretty much on her way out the door, and she passed several months after I came back. And after that, we found out that, right at that time, we found out that my grandfather had dementia, and so he passed several years after that. So during that period of time, I was working about 60 hours a week, sometimes 70. I was helping, to take care of my grandfather when I could. I was dealing with familial issues, personal issues. My ex was murdered at the time. That was the person that I considered to be the person that I truly loved and I truly care about. I had a ton of experienced relationships at that time. So there were a lot of traumatic events that were going on in my life. There's a lot of grief taking place, and there are a lot of transitions taking place. And I didn't know how to cope with it at that time. So what I found myself obviously doing is coping with food. I started eating. I was making so much money, so I was going out to eat, fine dining, getting food. At the time when I did engage in unintentional dating, I was just going on a bunch of dates, letting these guys take me out to different restaurants, and I was just eating. I was eating when I felt happy. I was eating when I felt sad. I was eating just to eat. I was eating to try something new. I was eating because there's nothing else to do in St. Louis if you want to stay away from a life of crime. I was just coping the way that I could at the time, which was absolutely unhealthy. So many people don't know how much weight that I gained at that time. It was an insane amount of weight, an embarrassing amount of weight that I didn't even know that I had started putting on around the time that I was 25, up until the time that I was, 28, and I had even surged a little bit when I was, I even surged a little bit by the time I was 28, but the weight gain really started around like 23, but it really didn't kick in gear until about 25, and then it peaked when I was 28. And I just let it get out of control. I didn't even realize I was down spiraling with my health, with my weight. In my career with that major retail company, I got promoted 4 times within 3 years. I was already in a leadership position in the store at the age of 22, telling people that were 3 times my age what to do and what time they needed to come in for their schedule, firing people 3 times my age. Very high stress level job. And I had also even eventually, a few years after, when I was 25, I took a promotion and I moved to the greater Kansas City area. And I hated it there. Mentally, for my sanity, spiritually, for my sanctification, my salvation, I had to withdraw myself from that company to stay sane. So what ended up happening is I end up quitting. And I said, you know what? I quit. I decided that I was going to go to the finance industry, and that's where I felt like I would be so impactful, because not only would I learn things to better myself and to put my family in the position to where we had to generate generational wealth, but I also felt like I could help other people who were disproportionately disadvantaged, specifically in the finance industry. I wanted to be able to have an impact in the world. I wanted to be able to help people who needed it and where they needed it the most, or some of the most. Because of course we know money isn't the most important thing in the world, but it definitely does make some things a heck of a lot easier. It's a lot less traumatizing when you have it and when you grow up having it. So I felt like that was for me, and that's what I wanted to do. So I took a $20,000 pay cut, moved to Dallas. So there were so many transitionings, so many changes that were happening at this time. Once I moved to Dallas, I had some family here. I had a good set or a group of friends that I knew. Some of them I've known since middle school, some since high school, some since college. Throughout that time, what God revealed to me is that, hey, this new version of you, the place that I am calling you to, the places that I have you growing in, you're actually going to be growing apart from some of these people. And that was a really difficult pill for me to swallow, because I've always been that person to where throughout my entire life, I've had people buzzing around me. I've always been one of the most popular girls in school. I've always been an extrovert. I've always been the star of the basketball team. I've always been in a position to where people would flock to me, and to where I never had to be alone, because people always wanted to be around. But God brought me to a point in my life to where the things that I wanted, the places that I wanted to go, the things that I wanted to do, the things that I wanted to discuss, they were no longer in alignment with that group of friends, or with certain friends that I had. And God told me that I needed to sever the ties, but I didn't do it. And so God forced my hand to where I had to do it. He let some people leave, and some people I had to leave because the disrespect was enough for me. The blatant competition was enough for me. Narcissism was enough for me. The talking behind my back was enough for me. And so it was like my world was turned upside down, because now I'm in this new space, and I thought I would be doing it with familiar faces, and a lot of those familiar faces withered away. So God was bringing me around a new group of people. I found a non-traditional Bible study group in which I had to learn new people, and I was building new friendships, and certain friendships that I had that were older, those were steady growing and others were declining. It was a lot. It's a lot going on. I had family members back home that were still passing, going on to glory, or maybe not, So there was a lot of transition that was taking place. I was leaving my siblings. My family, we've always been extremely tight-knit, but majority of my siblings were back home in St. Louis, and so I missed them dearly. I talked to pretty much all my siblings every day, so that was a really difficult part for me. My dad was already in another city. Luckily, my mom moved here, and eventually one of my brothers, he moved here for a while, and so that gave me some sense of grounding. These changes, I just wasn't ready for them. And so throughout that time, I was steady putting on the weight. And I mean that, pun intended. I was carrying the baggage I wasn't meant to carry, which kept my mind in chains, which caused me to carry the physical weight. It caused me to carry the physical weight because I allowed all of the spiritual baggage, the psychological baggage, all of the worldly baggage. I decided to carry that. God gave me the opportunity to release it. He told me that he was calling me to higher purposes and higher heights, or just at different purposes. Not saying that those people were beneath me at all, but God was just letting me know, hey, I'm calling you higher in your impact that you'll have for the kingdom. So you can't do certain things. You can't go certain places. And he even took away that desire for me to do certain things and go certain places. And I just fought him tooth and nail. So consequently, I began to carry that baggage physically. You know, I always enjoyed working out. I would always get out and run the track and run a couple miles at least. I could always get up, no matter what shape I'm in, I'll give you one or 2 miles. You know, I've always been that person who's enjoyed to work out. And I just didn't have the energy, I didn't have the bandwidth to do anything. I didn't have the unction to do anything. But when I got to Dallas, I began dating. And so, you know, I dated the first person that I met here, and then I began dating the second. And this guy, I will have to always salute him for that. And I told him one thing that I'm so grateful for that gentleman, and I believe that you meet everyone for a reason. So definitely be ever so grateful for is that this guy helped me wake up about my health and about my fitness journey. You know, and I believe that God used him, and he was a willing vessel, because God can lead and guide you to do certain things, but it's still up to us as his children to say, hey, you know what? Yes, God, I will go. Yes, Lord, I will do it. That's still our decision. God has given us all the right to choose. He's given us freedom to choose. But I'm so grateful to this guy because he answered the calling. I mean, and granted, I know it was because, you know, he liked me, he wanted to date me, but he pushed me. He pushed me. He was like, yo, you're an athlete. You're like, come on now. Like, you can do this. You're not even trying. You're not even putting the work in. Do you want this or not? Okay, get out there, do it, make it happen. What are you waiting on? What are you afraid of? You're not even running hard enough. You're not sweating. I literally remember this. We were running outside, and he was like, why are you stopping? You're not even sweating. And I had to laugh at it, and I just looked at him and I laughed, and I was like, you know what? You're right. But I believe that God sent him at that time in my life, needed someone to push me and say, yep, you know, hey, what are you doing? You're better than this. You're greater than this. You have more in you than this. And so I do think that it is so powerful to be led by God and to make godly connections. Be obedient. If he says go talk to someone, go talk to them. If he tells you to go to this gym, go there. If he says entertain this person, you entertain that person. If he says give this to this person, you do that. If he says go get a coffee with this person, you go do that. This was a college athlete who had a degree in what he was helping me to do. And he didn't have to, but he was obedient to God, and I'll always be so grateful for that. God gave me that kickstart. And once I got in there and I really got serious with it, and it took me a while to get started, to really get serious. I got in there and lost like 20 pounds, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm good. And then I really started tracking my weight, and I really started setting goals. And I said, okay, by this time I want to be here. I'm going to the Dominican Republic. I'm going to Punta Cana for my friend's birthday. And I said, okay, I want to be at this milestone weight when I get here. Okay, I want to do this. I want to do this. And every since then, and there have been periods of time where I relaxed and where I really kicked it into gear. But ultimately what it was I had to decide that, God, you have given me all of the tools. You have given me the motivation. You have given me the blueprint. You have spelled it out for me. But yes, God, I will go. I will do it. I will be who you've called me to be. I will do what you've called me to do. I don't care how much it hurts. I don't care how much time it takes. I don't care how impossible it may seem. I don't care how daunting the task may be. God, yes, I will do it. I will go. I had to make that decision for myself. That guy, he couldn't make that decision for me. Anyone else that I met, my dad, who used to be one of my basketball coaches, and my brothers who would tell me, girl, you're gaining weight. No one could make me want to do what I know I needed to do and what God was telling me to do but me. No one, absolutely no one. I had to make up in my mind. I had to use mind over matter. I had to use grace and grit to say, yes, God, I will do it, no matter how much it hurts, no matter how daunting the task may seem, no matter how depressed I might be, no matter how anxious I might be, no matter how low I might feel, no matter how crazy of a transition my life may be in right now. Yes, God, I will go. I will do it now. I had to get myself to that place, you know, and I had bumps and ups and downs on that journey. And it was the ups and downs. It was all an internal struggle. It was a war that I fought in myself, and it was a spiritual war. It was a psychological war, because what I realized is that I would never see myself back to the shape and the fitness that I always was and that I wanted to get back to. It was like I was seeing myself stuck. I couldn't see myself out of the situation. Because I couldn't see myself out of that situation, I didn't believe God to do it. And it was a never ending cycle. Okay, well, since I can't see it, then I don't believe it. Since I don't believe it, I can't see it. And I found myself stuck on this hamster's wheel. Until I said, you know what? God, you've given me all the tools. I know that I'm supposed to be this person. I know that I'm called to be this level of fit and to have this level of health because, God, I've been that most of my life. I don't even feel like me. I don't feel the same. I don't feel like Alicia Kemp the way that I am. God, I need to make a change. I want to make a change. I will make a change. And the moment that I decided that, which was August of 2020, so last year, the moment that I decided that, I mean, literally the weight just started falling. But I had to be willing to let go of the spiritual, psychological, and the mental weight first. Once I made that decision, once I said yes to God, and I dropped that baggage, that's when the weight began to drop. Because that's when I got dedicated. That's when I put mind over matter and grace and grit into play. And that's when I began to execute on what it is that I know I needed to do to be the best version of myself, to be the healthiest version of myself, to put myself in that position to where I could live and operate in purpose the way that God has called me to. At the end of the day, I need to be healthy. I need to be well in order to sit here, in order to use this platform, and in order to do what God called me to do. I need to be healthy to get it done. If I want to be a mother that I eventually want to be one day, if I want to be the wife that I eventually want to be one day, if I want to be the best daughter, the best sister, that I want to be the best auntie, the best friend, that's going to require the best version of myself, which means the healthiest version of myself. So let this be a sign. If you are struggling with your weight loss journey, firstly, I would urge you, I would encourage you, I would admonish you to ask yourself, what baggage am I carrying that I'm not meant to be carrying? What is God instructing me to do that I am refusing to do? Because it's a mind over matter thing. It's a grace and grit thing. It's an obedient thing. It's a I'll do it by any means necessary because God called me to thing. It's a I already have the tools. I already have what is necessary to do this. I just got to do it thing. And now here I am. I'm super proud of the progress that I've made over this time period, the level that I'm getting back to. Currently, I'm in my college junior year weight. So I'm what I weighed when I was 21, and I'm 10 pounds away from what I am used to weighing. And I'm so grateful. I'm so thankful that I finally answered the call, that I made up my mind to let go of the baggage, that I made up my mind to become the best version of myself, that I made up my mind that I needed to be healthy in order to be the person that God has called me to be, in order to be the person that God has purposed me to be. I just needed to be the best version of me for God. Most importantly, you take care of God's business, He'll take care of yours every day. And sometimes I look up to God. God, I don't even know how you do it. I know I worked out today. I know I ran a couple miles. I know I got in my cardio for an hour. I know I lift weights, but God, this weight is really falling off, And it's literally things that I didn't even think were possible on my health or fitness journey are now possible. Back in the day when I played sports, I worked out so much, I ate like crap. I could eat like crap, because my parents didn't let me eat didn't let me eat like trash growing up. They really didn't let us drink soda. We could only drink light soda like Sprite or Sierra Mist, and that was rare. That was at like a family reunion or something like that. But even when we went there, it was always, don't you grab a soda, you grab some water. Make sure you put vegetables on that plate. I don't want to see all that starch on there. So it was like, I ate decent. I ate pretty healthy growing up, but when I was turned to my own devices, I ate like trash. And and I thought it was gonna be so difficult to get away from that, and now I don't even crave those things. It's become a lifestyle for me. It has it has truly just been a blessing. I know that it was all God. I had to give all glory to God. I feel the best that I've ever felt in my body outside of playing sports all of those years growing up. I feel healthy. I feel energized. I rarely feel lethargic, even if I only get 6 hours of sleep. You know, my skin is flourishing. It's amazing. Shout out to genetics and shout out to God. With your yes, God can turn your mess into a masterpiece. And let my testimony of my weight loss journey be a testament to that. So my prayer is just that goal that you're struggling with, specifically when it comes to health and fitness, give it to God. Go to Him. Go to the source. He's already given you the tools, but go to Him for courage, for wisdom, for knowledge, for strength, and for guidance. Because that baggage that He will subsequently reveal to you that you have, that is going to be the thing that's standing in the way of you in the healthiest version of yourself. I guarantee it. Guarantee it. So I just wanted to do my part and share my testimony today, and just to let you all know, to God be the glory. Make sure that you like, comment, share, and subscribe, and turn on those notifications, y'all. Until next time.